and welcome to the second lecture in this series. And now we're going to talk about the domestication of birds as part of our Poultry Techniques AVS 2010 class. So, a quick review. We talked about the animal kingdom, and the Chordata was the phylum, and Aves was the class. And the scientific study of birds or avian species is ornithology. Ornis being Greek for bird. But this is really, and so ornithology is a scientific study of birds, but this is poultry technique. So what's our definition of poultry? So poultry are domesticated birds, okay? These are birds that are kept by mankind and for benefit, not for the birds, but to us, okay? So why do we keep birds? Well, we keep birds for meat, for eggs, and for feathers. Now, we might keep them for other things, but primarily for poultry, it's meat, eggs, and feathers. So what birds would this exclude? Birds that are in captivity but might be excluded. Well, songbirds are one. Canaries, finches, parrots, cage birds in general, would not be considered poultry. They're considered caged birds. Gamecocks, they're used for cockfighting. Now that's illegal. That's an entertainment, but it's an illegal entertainment. Falconry, birds of prey, not legal, but not exactly poultry. And then ornamental birds that are just kept for their beauty, like peafowl, peacocks and peahens and peafowl. Also would not be considered poultry. And then those that are kept for utilitarian purposes. In other words, we use them for doing something for us, like weeding in gardens and orchards. Geese would be an example of that, and fishing, and we'll get to that in just a minute. And then watchdogs, some things like guinea fowl have been used in the past as watchdogs. So domesticated birds, but of benefit to us, meat, eggs, and feathers. Now, cage birds, like canaries and this parrot, are kept for their beauty or for their song, like canaries. And cage birds are usually kept in what's called an aviary, A-V-I-A-R-Y. Okay? Now, and that's different than being in a poultry house. Okay? Now, the next one down below on this particular slide is cockfighting. And this goes way back to ancient Roman times. This is actually a mosaic tile of cocks fighting in front of a table. Illegal. Falconry. So first practiced in about 700 BC, so over 2,500 years ago. These are birds used for hunting. Raptors is a term for birds of prey. Could be hawks and owls and eagles, and even buzzards have been used in falconry. And falcons are kept in mews, M-E-W-S, instead of an aviary or a poultry house. Ornamental birds, like this peacock, are kept for their beauty. And peacocks and peahens, that's the female, are in total are peafowl. So peafowl are the generic terms for this type of bird. And then we have peacocks and peahens, kept for their beauty. Oftentimes were kept in the gardens of royalty. Utilitarian. Well, one would be fishing. Notice the cormorant, and he's got the ring around the neck. This is in China. This prevents the bird, when you put it over the side, it dives down, swallows a fish, but the constriction, that ring around the neck, prevents it from swallowing it. Pops to the surface, the fisherman grabs the cormorant, milks the fish back out, and sends it down to get another one. That's a fishing using birds. The middle the middle diagram here, the middle picture, is some geese in, I think it's a vineyard or some type of an orchard. And geese make great weeding, little living weed eaters. They love to eat greenery, and they do a good job of cleaning up orchards and around trees and whatnot. And then down here in the lower right, we have a guinea fowl. This is an African bird, although geese can also be used. But guinea fowl are very large and very loud. Excuse me. They're very loud, and they have been used since Roman times to warn when someone's creeping up on you in the dark or even during the daylight. They raise an alarm. They're not guard dogs. Guard dogs raise an alarm, but they also bite. So these are watchdogs. They sound an alarm, but we don't use them to bite or to chase anyone away. Chickens were domesticated. Traditionally, we thought about 3000 BC. That would be 5,000 years ago. From the red jungle fowl, and this is an example of what a red jungle fowl male looks like. And we call the domesticated chicken Gallus domesticus, Gallus being the genus and domesticus the species. And they were originally domesticated for entertainment, for cockfighting. That's what they were. That's what they were domesticated for first. Not for their meat, not for their eggs, but to have the males fight against each other as an entertainment. Some new data from 2014 from northern China, some archaeological digs, suggest that other species of jungle fowl may have been domesticated as early as 10,000 BC, which would be 7,000 years earlier or 12,000 years ago. So there's some controversy here whether it was 10,000 BC or 3,000 BC, but regardless, they've been domesticated quite some time. And once they were domesticated in either China or around India, they spread via commerce, trading, and the military. As military went off to wars and whatnot, they would take chickens with them both for entertainment and for meat and eggs. So that by 2000 BC's, chickens were already in Egypt, and they were doing large-scale production to try and provide meat for the workers working on the Egyptian pyramids. And domesticated chickens were also part of the menu for the workers working on the Great Wall of China. So once again, at least 5,000 years ago, and maybe as long as 12,000 years ago. So chickens belong to the order Galliformes. Galliformes are ground-dwelling birds, and the genus and species of chickens are Gallus domesticus. And we still really, I still think that they come from primarily the red jungle fowl. So what are some other, got off track there. But chickens also can be classified, by, Okay, here's some other Galliformes. This is the next slide. Ground-dwelling birds that have been domesticated and used by man. Guinea fowl, we talked about them as being watchdogs, but they also are used for their meat and eggs. They're very popular in Europe. If you go to France, you're almost more likely to get guinea fowl than you are turkey. and they were brought to Europe by the Romans, the Roman Empire, when they went up into Europe. Another Galliformes species that's used for that are domesticated and used by mankind are quail, especially Coturnix quail, Coturnix japonica. I know it says japonica, but they were domesticated in China, in Asia anyway. They're small, very productive birds. We've selected them for a little bit more size than they had in the wild, and we've selected them for more egg production. In the wild, they might only lay 10 to 12 eggs, but we have now selected quail, these little quail, so that some of them will lay up to 280 eggs per year. So that's a tremendous increase in the egg production. But look at, we first domesticated quail almost 1,000 years BC, which would be almost 3,000 years ago. So we've had a lot of selection since then for meat and eggs. Turkeys were domesticated about 800 BC, about the same time as quail, but turkeys, Meleagris gallipavo, come from Mexico. And they were first domesticated really for their feathers and only subsequently for their meat. And this is really the only Galliformes that's been domesticated and used for man that we consider poultry, and is from North America. So turkeys are native to North America. Down there at the bottom, I mentioned pheasants. They're native to China and Japan. They're really not considered poultry. They're kind of domesticated, but we consider pheasants to be game birds. Some can be raised in confinement, but they're more used for sport and hunting. Anseriformes are ducks and geese and swans. Geese were domesticated probably about 2000 BC, so about 4,000 years ago, in Egypt, used for their meat, eggs, down, that's the kind of the downy feathers, and for garden weeding gardens and orchards. Now, that doesn't count as poultry, but the meat, eggs, and down do count as poultry. Mallard ducks, which are very popular, they were domesticated in China, where they were called Pekin ducks, kind of like Peking, but Pekin ducks, for their meat and eggs, and also for their down, to put in pillows and vests and coats, comforters. The geese are Anser genus, and ducks are Anas species. Some other kind of non-Galliformes birds that have been domesticated: pigeons, 3000 BC, about 5,000 years ago. Columbia species in the Middle East and Egypt for meat. And we eat the squab. A squab, S-Q-U-A-B, is a baby pigeon, about 1 month old. But pigeons were also kept for their homing ability, their ability to find their way home and carry messages back from the front of the battle lines back to the generals who were in the back. And then falconry, we don't consider it domesticated birds, but they have been used for hunting for over 2,500 years. So about 700 BC, they were used for hunting, especially in the Middle East, where you have wide open spaces and not a lot of trees. So that's going to do it for this one.